Tehran, the bustling capital of Iran with over 15 million residents in its province alone, faces a crisis so severe that the government is considering something almost unthinkable. After 240 years as the nation's political center, Tehran might be abandoned entirely. The Iranian government has officially announced plans to relocate the capital to a completely different region on the southern coast along the Gulf of Oman, a place so barren that ancient historians called it cursed. This isn't just another ambitious government promise that will fade away. 2 expert councils have already been formed, billions in funding discussed, and preliminary plans have been set in motion. But why would a nation abandon a capital that has stood for over 200 years? The answer reveals a crisis so severe that building an entirely new city appears to be the only solution. Tehran is dying, and that's not an exaggeration. The capital faces what experts call an unprecedented water crisis, with authorities warning the city could reach day zero within weeks when taps run completely dry. Multiple Tehran reservoirs are in dire condition. 5 major dams are only around 12 to 13% filled. La has dropped to almost 1% and Karaj to about 7%. Authorities warn of imminent water shortages unless usage is dramatically cut. The water shortage has forced authorities to reduce water pressure by nearly half, affecting 80% of households. For residents in tall apartment buildings, this often means no water supply at all. The government has even considered declaring week-long public holidays to encourage people to temporarily leave the city and reduce water demand. But water scarcity represents just one piece of Tehran's environmental nightmare. Parts of Tehran are sinking by over 30 centimeters a year, among the fastest rates in the world. Entire neighborhoods now show cracks in roads, collapsing sidewalks, and buildings twisting out of alignment. Air pollution kills thousands of Tehran residents every year, according to Iran's health ministry, ranking it among the world's deadliest capitals for smog. Its high altitude, uncontrolled sprawl, and relentless traffic trap pollutants like a lid over the city. Even more alarming is Tehran's earthquake risk. It sits on 2 major fault lines, and officials admit that 60% of buildings fail safety standards. A single major quake could wipe out Iran's political and economic core in seconds, making the city a ticking time bomb. In January 2025, government spokeswoman Fatima Mohajirani made the announcement that stunned many. The new capital will definitely be in the south, in the Makran region, and this matter is currently being worked on. This marked the first time Iranian officials publicly proposed the Makran region as a viable candidate for relocating the country's political and administrative center. President Masoud Pezeshkian has been the driving force behind reviving this decades-old idea. During his election campaign, he promised voters he would persuade the supreme authority to implement this project. In September 2024, Pezeshkian stated bluntly, "We have no choice but to move the economic and political center of the country to the south and near the sea." The government has formed 2 expert councils, made up of engineers, sociologists, and economists, to study feasibility and design a relocation plan. You see, Makran is a vast historical and geographical region spanning approximately 1,000 kilometers along the Gulf of Oman, stretching from the Strait of Hormuz in Iran to the Indus Plain in Pakistan. The Iranian portion of Makran lies in the southeastern Sistan and Balochistan province, featuring a semi-desert coastal strip that extends along the shores of the Gulf of Oman. The region's geography includes east-west running mountain ranges with coastal ranges rising up to 1,578 meters and central ranges reaching 2,286 meters. Between these ranges lie fertile valleys that support limited agriculture, primarily dates, which constitute the main crop of the region. Makran's climate is generally arid with little rainfall, and the region remains sparsely inhabited. The narrow coastal plain features unique geological characteristics, including marine terraces shaped by active tectonic uplift. This geological activity, while creating distinctive landscape features, also means the region experiences ongoing seismic activity. The area holds immense historical significance, known in ancient times as Gedrosia. During the Persian and Macedonian empires, it served as the scene of Alexander the Great's retreat from India in 325 BC, demonstrating its strategic importance for millennia. Iran's proposed relocation to Makran offers several strategic advantages, particularly economic ones, as the Gulf region holds Iran's key oil and natural gas reserves. The coastal location provides direct access to international waters through the Gulf of Oman, bypassing the congested Strait of Hormuz for some maritime activities. Chabahar, Iran's only oceanic port located in the Makran region, serves as a crucial gateway. The port can provide a direct transit link to the markets of Afghanistan and Central Asia, offering India and other countries an alternative to the China-Pakistan economic corridor. In 2013, Iran and India signed an agreement for Chabahar's development, with India pledging $2 billion in investment to link the port to Central Asia and Afghanistan by rail. President Pezeshkian has highlighted the economic inefficiency of Iran's current model, explaining transporting raw materials from the south to the center, processing them, and returning them south for export drains our competitive capacity. A southern capital would streamline this process and reduce transportation costs significantly. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has described Makran as a lost paradise that must be transformed into the future economic hub of Iran and the region. The relocation could position Iran to compete more effectively with major seaports like Dubai and Pakistan's Gwadar, potentially reasserting Iran's role in Persian Gulf maritime trade. The idea of relocating Iran's capital has deep historical roots. Iran is described as a country that has possibly swapped capitals more than any other nation in history, from ancient Pasargadae and Persepolis under the Achaemenids to modern Tehran. This flexibility has allowed Iranian civilization to survive for 2,600 years through various political and environmental changes. The modern discussion of capital relocation began during Mahmoud Ahmadinejad's presidency in the early 2000s. Primarily due to concerns over Tehran's vulnerability to earthquakes. In 2009, Supreme Leader Khamenei proposed moving the capital from Tehran. The Expediency Discernment Council approved changing the capital in 2017. During Hassan Rouhani's presidency in the mid-2010s, the discussion was revived, as officials emphasized Tehran's unsustainable growth and mounting environmental issues. In 2015, the Iranian parliament passed a law requiring the Ministry of Roads and Urban Development to conduct studies for relocating the capital, though these studies remain unfinished nearly a decade later. Meanwhile, the financial scope of relocating Iran's capital is breathtaking. Former Interior Minister Ahmed Vahidi estimated in April 2024 that the project could require around $100 billion. That's the equivalent to roughly a quarter of Iran's entire annual GDP. For comparison, Indonesia's planned capital relocation to Nusantara is projected to cost around $35 billion, already considered one of the most expensive urban projects in the world. Iran's $100 billion estimate dwarfs that, underscoring the unprecedented scale of what Tehran is proposing and the staggering financial gamble it would represent. The logistical challenges are equally daunting. Makran is currently arid and underdeveloped, requiring massive infrastructure development to support a major city. Only expensive seawater desalination can provide adequate water supplies for such a large urban population, creating an expensive dependency on energy-intensive technology. Moving an entire government apparatus, including all ministries, parliament, courts, and administrative offices, would require years of planning and execution. The relocation would also necessitate convincing millions of government employees, diplomats, and their families to relocate to a region vastly different from Tehran's urban environment. Iran's struggling economy faces additional pressure from international sanctions, making the massive financial commitments even more challenging. Sanctions not only cut off foreign investment, but also block Iran from importing much of the advanced technology it would need for large-scale desalination, construction, and smart city infrastructure. The Iranian rial recently plunged to historic lows, raising questions about the country's ability to finance such an ambitious project. The proposed capital relocation also carries significant political risks. Many Iranians have expressed deep skepticism on social media about the Makran proposal, viewing it as an impractical solution to Tehran's problems when more direct interventions might be more effective. The Makran region presents unique security challenges. The area is primarily inhabited by the Baloch ethnic group, where separatist movements remain active. Attacks on government forces are not rare, meaning a new capital here would sit in the middle of one of Iran's most unstable regions. The region's proximity to Pakistan also creates geopolitical considerations. Iranian-Pakistani tensions over Baloch separatist activities nearly resulted in military conflict in January 2024, highlighting the volatile nature of the border area. Critics argue that relocating the capital would fundamentally alter Iran's cultural identity. Tehran has served as Iran's political, administrative, and cultural hub for over 200 years, and abandoning this historical center represents a dramatic departure from tradition. The relocation plan puts Iran in rare company. Few nations have ever considered moving a capital city, partly because their ground is literally sinking. Jakarta is one. If Tehran's move happens, Iran will join that very short list. The proposal highlights the broader challenge of climate change affecting major cities worldwide. Many capitals face similar pressures from sea level rises, water scarcity, and extreme weather events. Though few have considered such drastic solutions, The timing of Iran's announcement coincides with increasing global attention to climate adaptation strategies. However, the scale and cost of completely relocating a capital city remain unprecedented in the modern era. But will it actually happen? Despite official announcements, significant skepticism remains about whether Iran will actually relocate its capital. President Pezeshkian's executive deputy, Jafar Ghaempana, quickly clarified that moving the capital to Makran was only an idea with no established timeline. Former Tehran Mayor Pirooz Hanashi argued that the capital's problems can be solved through investment and development measures rather than relocation. Many experts suggest that addressing Tehran's water management, infrastructure, and urban planning issues might prove more practical than abandoning the city entirely. However, the severity of Tehran's multiple crises continue to worsen. Water experts warn that without urgent action, Tehran faces an irreversible environmental collapse. The government's revival of relocation plans suggests officials recognize that incremental solutions may prove insufficient. Whether this ambitious project moves beyond planning stages may depend on Tehran's ability to address its immediate crises and Iran's capacity to finance one of the most expensive infrastructure projects in modern history. The world will be watching to see if Iran really follows through and builds a brand new capital city. So what do you think? Is Iran's bold plan a genuine solution or just shifting Tehran's problems south? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories of how geography shapes our world.